Peace, peace. This is Nigga Keep It Real coming to you live. And today's video lesson is going to be a two-part lesson, most likely. We are going to be exposing the concept of original sin and all the blame being put on the woman. It was all bullshit from the beginning. This is a book, two books by the same author. One book is called Man-Made God, Barbara G. Walker, author of the Woman's Encyclopedia of Myths and Secrets. And this is the Woman's Encyclopedia of Myths and Secrets. Alright? So I might make a part 2 to this. We'll see how much we can get through. Alright? So, on the back, they go through religion as a big business, religious effect on children, biblical infallibility, church doctrine regarding women, Dark Ages, Inquisition, and book and witch burning. Okay? I'm going to touch on a couple things in this book, and then we're going to go into this book right here, the Women's Encyclopedia of Myths and Secrets. Alright? So there's no such thing as sin, original sin. It's all bullshit. It's all made up. It's all stories. It's garbage. It's just something for you to believe in, to keep you in fear. We're going to talk about death. Alright? I'm about to bring a lot of stuff out that I'm quite sure a lot of you are not aware of. So let's get into information. Alright? Alright, so what I want to start in. We're going to start here. Let's go here to... So I'm only on the letter G. I'm on the letter H in this book. Alright, this is an encyclopedia. Tons of references. Alright, but let's go here to... I only bought this book for $1. This is a damn encyclopedia. So like on the back of the book, it says here that, do you know where the legend of a cat's 9 lives comes from? Do you know why the word mama is a word understood in nearly all languages? Do you know how the custom of kissing began? Do you know whether there was really a female Pope Joan? Do you know why Cinderella's glass slipper was so important to the prince? Okay? And there's a lot of stuff that's in here. There's a lot of stuff that's in here that I was not even aware of. But we're going to let's get into the topic. So we want to talk about Eve. Listen to what the church knows about. And matter of fact, what they don't want you to know is the church and others who try to suppress information. You have the non-commodity writings, right? These are the non-commodity writings. Okay? And this is a group of people who are pre-Christian Gnosticism. Okay? Now these texts predate the Dead Sea Scrolls by 2 years. Now, why didn't they bring this out before the Dead Sea Scrolls? Why did they suppress this information? Okay, you look at this. I'm quite sure you all aware of this, the non-commodity writings. Okay, look it up. But I want to spend a lot of time on this. You know what I'm saying? Going to the non-commodity writings, the non-commodity library. You can look this up on your own. But let's go here. Okay, so we're gonna go here to the word Eve. Alright? Because we've all been taught that Eve is the one who sinned, so now all mankind is doomed for death. So let's expose that garbage. Alright? So it says Eve. The biblical title of Eve, Mother of All Living, was a translation of Kali Ma's title Jangamanta or Yangamanta. She was also known in India as Jiva or Aiva. the creatress of all manifested forms. In the Syrian scriptures, she was entitled Mother Womb, creatress of destiny, and who made male and female human beings out of clay. In pairs, she created them. The first of the Bible's two creation myths gives this Assyrian version, significantly changing she to he, Genesis 1:27. The original Eve had no spouse except the serpent, a living phallus she created for her own sexual pleasure. Some ancient peoples regarded the goddess and her serpent as their first parents. Sacred icons showed the goddess giving life to a man, while her serpent coiled around the apple tree behind her. Deliberate misinterpretations of such icons produced ideas for revised creation myths like the one in Genesis. Some Jewish traditions of the 1st century BC, however, identified Jehovah with the serpent deity who accompanied the mother in her garden. Sometimes she was Eve, sometimes her name was given as Nahima or Naama or Naamariel, who gave birth to Eve and Adam without the help of any male, even the serpent. Because Jehovah arrogantly pretended to be the sole creator, Eve was obliged to punish him, according to Gnostic scriptures. Gnostics are the Nag Hammadi writings. It says that though the mother of all living existed before everything, the God forgot she made him and had given him some of her creative power. He was even ignorant of his own mother. It was because he was foolish and ignorant of his mother that he said, "I am God, there is none besides me." Gnostic texts often show the Creator reprimanded and punished for his arrogance by a feminine power greater and older than himself. The secret of God's name or the power, the Tetragrammaton, was that 3/4 of it invoked not God, but Eve. It says YHWH or Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh came from the Hebrew root HYH, meaning both life and woman, and Latin letters EVE. You see that? With addition of an I, Yod, it was amounted to the goddess invocation of her own name as the word of creation, a common idea in Egypt and other ancient lands. So your Tetragrammaton was originally applied to Eve. So they added this Y to Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, Yahweh, but this is false. And the church knows this. See, that's why you need to learn about the Crusades, the Inquisition, and all that type of stuff. They're really to oppress the woman. The man really wants to be the woman. If you knew the things that I read in this book, you understand exactly what I'm talking about. But you niggas and others don't want to do your own damn research and depend on everybody else to do your own research for you, you're not going to understand anything. The men back in ancient times used to castrate themselves, and they would cut off their penis and perform cervical surgery on themselves to be a woman. All this, what I'm saying, is documented in this book, and they all know it. The church knows it. So it says here that Gnostic scriptures said Adam was created by the power of Eve's word, not God's. She said Adam lived, rise upon the earth. As soon as she spoke the word, her word became reality. Adam rose up and opened his eyes. When he saw her, he said, "You will be called the mother of the living, because you are the one who gave me life." Adam's name meant he was formed of clay, moistened with blood, the female magic of Adama, or bloody clay. He did produce the mother of all living from his rib. In earlier Mesopotamia stories, he was produced from hers. You see that? The biblical idea was a reversal of older myths in which the goddess brought forth a primal male ancestor that made him her mate. Archetypal divine incest relationship traceable in every mythology. Okay? So let's go here to the Tetragrammaton. Okay. 1 second. So, Tetragrammaton. It says literally 4-letter word, the secret name of God in Hebrew letters, Yod He Vav He, or YHWH, often confused with God's introduction of himself to Moses, I am that I am. Exodus 3:13. This introduction was borrowed from the God Abraham, or Father Brahma, who introduced himself in Sanskrit, Taset, I am that is. The root of YHWH is the radical HYHWH, Hey Vav Hey, which means being or life or woman. Interchangeable concepts in the ancient Middle East. And all the references are in here. The same letters in Latin, EVE, Eve. It says thus the so-called inner meaning of the Tetragrammaton was really Eve, mother of all living, the real creator of the world and mother of Adam, according to Gnostic scriptures. The Tetragrammaton had 2 versions. The lesser known one was EHYH, a feminine principle derived from Hayah, another of Eve's names, designating the goddess in her special connection with women and childbearing. It says medieval writers who did not know the meaning of the Tetragrammaton often took it for the name of a powerful demon and invoked it in its magic charms. A 17th century writer declared that the mighty Tetragrammaton was a devil who protected witches. Other authorities said Tetragrammaton was one of the more powerful secret names of God, used to control demons when they were invoked. Jewish mystics used the Tetragrammaton extensively in the lore of the Kabbalah. YHWH was called the divided name, considered to contain all forces of nature. Since the holy name could be divided into that of Mother Eve, HYH, and that of I, or Yod for Jehovah, it suggested the Kabbalistic doctrine of God's loss of the Shekinah, the Great Mother, whose return to mystics believe essential to the achievement of peace in the universe. You see that? Now, let's go here to Eve. Let's see, did I read Eve already in here? I think I did. Okay. Okay, so I just read that about Eve. Alright? Now, check this out. Okay. I want to hold my spot. We're going to talk about Arabia. We're going to talk about Arabia and what that has to do with the Quran. We're going to talk about Aladdin. Okay? Okay, so let's put this to the side real quick. Hold my spot right there. Let's put this to the side. And let's go here to man-made God. Right? And let's go into, let's see. So they know everything starts with the woman. That's why they put all the sin on the woman. So like I said, I'm going to have to make a part 2 to this. There's a lot that I want to cover. Now remember, this is all belief. We're taking on someone else's beliefs. Okay? It's not the words that's bad, it's the people. It's the people that's bad, not the words. Okay? Okay, let's see here. Okay. So like with your Sumerian flood story, with the story of God drowning the people, Eve had did that to Yahweh. Like here. It says here that, going back to the Tetragrammaton, right? It says, biblical writers of all, it says, biblical writers knew the Canaanite, Hittite, and Aramaic names of this mother of all living, Hawa or Hava or Heba. In Hebrew, her name was written Hey Bob Hey or HWH, in Latin letters EBE. A word of several meanings including life, woman, a matrilineal blood kinship group, and the wisdom of the serpent. The root of that dread, unpronounceable name of God, the taboo Tetragrammaton that no one but a high priest could speak, and that only once a year was exactly the same as the name of Eve, Hey Bob Hey. With the addition of the Yod, it became the magical four-letter word that God was supposed to have used to bring all things to being by the power of his own name. YHWH anglicized as Yahweh or Jehovah, but transposed into Latin letters, curiously enough, the Tetragrammaton simply says I-Eve, I-E-B-E, Eve. There are precedents in ancient literature suggesting that Eve, not Yahweh, was the creator. Gnostic Christians scriptures declare that Adam was created by the power of Eve's word, not God's. Okay, so I read that part already. And it says, Gnostic scriptures also say that Jehovah himself was Eve's child, for she existed before the gods and gave birth to them all. She gave Jehovah some of her creative powers, but then he became arrogant and forgot that she was his elder and superior. He was even ignorant of his own mother. It was because he was foolish and ignorant of his mother, he said, I am God and there is none beside me. Gnostic texts often depict the created God as an arrogant upstart, reprimanded, and punished by a feminine power older and greater than himself. A Canaanite icon still extant shows the primal goddess in the act of creating the first man, while her totem serpent twines behind her in her sacred fruit tree. From deliberate misrepresentation of such icons, the Genesis story was cobbled together. The Bible doesn't say what Eve's fruit was, but later European commentators assumed it to be an apple because European myths created the primal goddess with growing the apples of wisdom and immortality, or knowledge and life in her sacred garden. You see that? Now, check this out. Check this out. So here's your Assyrian goddess holding her divine son in front of the tree, right? And you have it down here, the steel of the Babylonian king Meleshpek, preceding his daughter to the goddess Diana, right? It's all symbolism, okay? All right, so let's do this. So the Bible is a very patriarchal, misogynistic book, okay? Now let's read this real quick. Cause you notice only two books of the Bible for women. The rest of us talk about men. All right, so let's do this. The Forgery of Historical Christianity. It says, none of the earlier schools of Christianity resembled the literate Christianity that we know today. The so-called historical Christianity had to be invented and was invented over the course of 3¼ centuries until the Council of Nicaea set it in stone and covered up its earlier roots. While Christian monks burned whole libraries of books, killed priestesses, destroyed temples, forbade the study of philosophy, and closed the schools, thus by eradicating the classical world's knowledge, helped to bring on the Dark Age. One of the major players in the cover-up operation was Bishop Eusebius, this dude right here, this white man. Okay? 1 second, we're going to do some reading today. I just want you to process the information. One second. Like I said, if I have to make a part 2 of this, I will. So it says here that one of the major players in the cover-up operation was Bishop Eusebius, who at the beginning of the 4th century compiled legends, fabrications, and his own imagination the earlier history of Christianity that still exists today. All subsequent historians have been forced to base themselves on Eusebius' dubious claims. All those with a different perspective on Christianity were branded as heretics and eradicated. In this way, falsehoods compiled in the 4th century have come down to us as established facts. Eusebius forged many textual interpolations and shamelessly advocated what he called holy living for the benefit of the church. Eusebius was employed by the Roman Emperor Constantine, who made Christianity the state religion of the empire and gave literate Christianity the power it needed to begin the final eradication of paganism and Gnosticism. They call pagans, so we know that who they call pagans were Negroes, niggas, black people. Constantine wanted one God, one religion, to consolidate his claim of one empire and one emperor. He oversaw the creation of the Nicene Creed, the article of faith repeated in churches to this day. And Christians who refuse to assent to this creed were banished from the empire or otherwise silenced, usually in a disciplined, permanent fashion. Quote, this Christian emperor then returned home from Nicaea and had his wife suffocated and his son murdered. He deliberately remained unbaptized until his deathbed so he could continue his atrocities and still receive forgiveness of sins and a guaranteed place in heaven by being baptized at the last moment. Although he had his spin doctor Eusebius composed a suitably obsequious biography for him. He was actually a monster. Among the many forgeries instituted by the church fathers and false writers like Eusebius, was the single passage on which the Roman Church based its imprimatur, Matthew 6, 18 and 19. Right? So you can read that on your own. Okay? So Eusebius is forging documents. Right? He's forging documents. Okay? Now, let's go here to the silence of historians. Here's your Josephus, right? Now, we're going to read this. Check this out. Check this out. And then we're going to get into what the apostles couldn't do. All right? The silence for historians. It says, a possible hint of Jesus' historicity, Christianity, Christian authorities rely heavily on a single brief paragraph in the works of the respected Jewish historian Flavius Josephus, who was born in 37 AD, served as governor of Galilee, and traveled extensively in the very same area where Jesus allegedly lived and taught. If anyone was in a position to report the wonder workings of a local holy man, his own parents' generation, it was Josephus. Okay? 1 second. One second. So it goes on to say that a dedicated reporter of minute details, right? It says here that, yet in all his voluminous works, the single paragraph, Antiquities 18.3.3, called the Testimonium Flavium, or TF, says only that Jesus was a teacher of such men as received the truth with pleasure. He drew over to him both many of the Jews and many of the Gentiles. He was the Christ. And when Pilate, at the suggestion of the principal men amongst us, had condemned him to the cross, those that loved him at first did not forsake him. For he appears to them alive again the third day, as the divine prophets had foretold these and 10,000 other wonderful things concerning him. And the tribe of Christians so named from him are not extinct to this day. Listen to this. The problems with this famous passage are many. First of all, it is noticeably out of context with the surrounding material. Second, it evidently did not appear in the earlier copies of Josephus' works, nor in the 2nd century version quoted by Church Father Origen, who would certainly have mentioned it if it had been there. The TF, or the Testimony of Flavian, does not appear in any known works until the beginning of the 4th century, and is first quoted by Bishop Eusebius, the enthusiastic advocate of what he apparently called holy lying for the greater glory of the church. Okay? For the greater glory of the church, okay? Known to have been responsible for many interpolations, revisions, and blatant forgeries. Moreover, Josephus was a Jew and would have hardly referred to Jesus' ministry as the truth or wonderful things, nor would he have called Jesus the Christ. Neither could he have mentioned the tribe of Christians, for there was no Christians in his day. Christianity did not get off the ground until the 2nd century. Dan Barker writes, Christians should be careful when they refer to Josephus as historical confirmation for Jesus. It turns around and bites them. If we remove the forged paragraph, the works of Josephus become evidence against historicity. If the life of Jesus was historical, why did Josephus know nothing of it? Uh, Philo Judaeus, 2050 BCE to 50 AD, was born before the beginning of the Christian era and lived until long after Jesus' time. Philo knew Jerusalem well and would have known of Herod's massacre of children plus Jesus' miracles, well-attended preachings, triumphal entry parade, and crucifixion, with its attendant earthquake, reanimated corpses, and many other wonders. He would have heard about the resurrection before any witnesses. As Dan Parker points out, these marvelous events, which must have filled the world with amazement, had they really occurred, were unknown to him. See that? Now, check this out. Okay. Give me 1 second. Okay. So let's read here real quick about the apostles. Okay. All right, so you have all these contradictions, right? You have all these contradictions in the Bible, okay? And check this out. So let's look up Jesus' 12 apostles. And remember I told you who wrote the Bible. So you got Jesus' 12 disciples. Okay? Now you people actually believe that these people are actually real. Now look what your own damn, watch what I expose. Look what your own damn Bible says about the apostles. So you got the 12 disciples, right? So you got the 12 disciples, right? 1 second. See, Eve didn't do anything. It's all garbage. It's no such thing as sin. We sin because of Adam and Eve. That's garbage. It's bullshit. It's a lie. So let's look up Jesus' 12 disciples. So you got Peter, Andrew, James, John, Philip. Who else? 12. You got the 12 disciples, right? Or the apostles, right? Let's look them up. Who are these dudes? Okay. So you got Peter, Andrew, James, John, Philip, Bartholomew, Matthew, James, and Thomas, and Simon and Judas, right? And Paul, and Peter. All the apostles. Now, watch this. Do you know that the apostles were really women? Right, the apostles were women. So let's go to Acts 4:13. Okay. Now listen to this. So it says here that according to Acts 4:13, the apostles were all unlearned and ignorant men who could not have been responsible for writing the Gospels or anything else. Therefore, those who put apostles' names to the Gospels' writings were forgers, and all the Gospels are essentially fakes. Now, so that means that Jesus couldn't, the apostles, the disciples couldn't read or write. They were ignorant. So here's your amplified version. Acts 4:13. So this is supposed to be so-called written by Peter, who wrote the so-called book of Acts. So it says, now when the men of the Sanhedrin, Jewish high court, saw the confidence and boldness of Peter and John, and grasped the fact that they were uneducated and untrained, ordinary men, they were astounded and began to recognize that they had been with Jesus. In the footnote here, it says Acts chapter 4, verse 13. It says they had no formal religious training in rabbinical schools. So the apostles, when you talk about Matthew wrote this and Peter and John wrote that, in Revelations, John didn't write nothing because they couldn't read or write. They were unlearned. You want another version? Let's go to another version. You want the King James Version? Let's go. King James Version. Now when they saw the boldness of Peter and John and perceived that they were unlearned and ignorant men, they marveled, and they took knowledge of them that they had been with Jesus. So Jesus, it said that Jesus left. He disappeared. Where did Jesus go? Where the hell did Jesus go? So how's Peter, Paul, Mark, Luke, and John writing about these events in the New Testament when they couldn't read or write? Who's writing for these niggas? Somebody's writing for them in third person. Somebody's writing for these dudes. Okay? Now, let's go here to what they took out. So like with all that stuff, Easter, Halloween, all that stuff, it says paganism, it's pagan. It's not, that stuff is not evil. That's what you've been trained to believe. So this Bible is a very patriarchal, misogynistic book. There was burning witches, the Crusades, the Inquisitions, all of that stuff. Okay, let's see here. So you got here the Gospel of Thomas. One of 52 texts discovered at Nag Hammadi. In the same volume was the Gospel of Philip, which identifies Mary Magdalene as Jesus' special companion, whom he loved more than any of his disciples. Now let me see here. Now let's go here to Peter. I think it was Peter or Paul. Peter. There's so much stuff I want to cover. Israel is a damn shame. We've been tricked big time, YouTube. People, wake up. Wake up. Let's go here to look up all of this stuff that I'm saying. I'm not making none of this shit up. You can look it up on your own. They demonize the woman and say that the Catholic Church, they don't if a woman is pregnant, they say she got a devil inside of her, demons, all that type of shit. I'm trying to go with this code, but I can't really express myself how I want to. So let's go back here to the Women's Encyclopedia. And let's go here to Arabia. Let's go to Arabia. And check this out. Listen to this. This is under the section Arabia. Before Islam arrived in the 7th century AD, Arabia was matriarchal, meaning women, for over 1,000 years recorded history. The annals of Ashurbanipal said Arabia was governed by queens for as long as anyone could remember. So the annals of Ashurbanipal, Assyrian royal chronicles on cuneiform tablets dating from the 7th century BC, found in the king's famous library at Nineveh by the 19th century archaeologists. So it says that the land's original Allah was Alat, part of the female trinity, along with Kore, the virgin, and Al-Uzza, the powerful one, the triad known as Manat, the threefold moon. At Mecca, the goddess was Sheba, or Sheba, the old woman, worshipped as a black ionic stone like the goddess of the Scythian Amazons. The same black stone, now enshrined in the Kaaba at Mecca, was a feminine symbol marked by the sign of the yoni and covered like the ancient mother by a veil. So this is what they're talking about. This Kaaba stone, this goes back to, they do all this stuff goes back to the woman. Wait till I bring out, I'm about to make a part 2 to this. So you got the Kaaba stone in Mecca. So you got this stuff, right? The Kaaba stone in Mecca, right? Oh, my computer going slow. But you know what the Kaaba stone in Mecca looks like, right? Let me keep on going. So it says here that the same black stone now enshrined at the Kaaba, at Mecca, was a feminine symbol, marked by the sign of Yoni and covered like the ancient mother by a veil. No one seems to know exactly what it is supposed to represent today. The black stone rests in the Haram sanctuary, cognate of Haram, which used to mean a temple of women. In Babylon, a shrine of the goddess Har, or Her, mother of harlots. Hereditary guardians of the Haram were the Qurayshites, children of Kore, Muhammad's own tribe. The holy office was originally held by women before it was taken over by male priests calling themselves the Beni Shaba, sons of the old women. Okay? You got the Kaaba stone. So you got the Kaaba stone. This is feminine. This is female, the woman. This is symbolism, symbology. Okay? It says that Muhammad's legend clearly gave him a matriarchal family background. His parents' marriage was matrilocal. His mother remained with her own family and received her husband as an occasional visitor. Muhammad lived with his mother until her death because she was his true parent according to the ancient system. children belong to the woman's family. Paternity in the biological sense was relatively unimportant. She may well have been one of the aged priestesses who served the temple in Mecca. The traditions of such priestesses may well date back to Assyrio-Babylonian mothers, the only people permitted to enter the Holy of Holies. Archaic Arabian shrines were usually served by 7 high priestesses, calling the law-giving 7 sages, who were women. The first collection of the books of the law, called Quran, the word of Korah, were attributed to them. Pre-Islamic Arabia was dominated by the female-centered clans. Marriages were matrilocal, inheritance matrilineal. Polyandry, several husbands to one wife, was common. Men lived in their wives' homes. Divorce was initiated by the wife. If she turned her tent to face east for 3 nights in a row, the husband was dismissed for a bit and forbidden to enter the tent again. Doctrines attributed to Muhammad simply reversed the ancient system in favor of men. The Muslim husband could dismiss his wife by saying, "I divorce thee 3 times." As in Europe, the change from the matriarchal to patriarchal came about only gradually with much strife. You see that? Do you hear this? The Quran was written by women. Are you hearing this? Let's see. I'm gonna come back and make a part 2 to this. Okay. I'm gonna come back and make a part 2 to this, and cover some more of these what's names, these names, like Aladdin, and all the references are here. She has all the references listed, right? They're all here. So it says under the section Aladdin, Marco Polo described quite differently from his mythic portrait in the Arabian Nights. As the fairy tale said, he was a master of secret caves of treasures, but the cave was real. It was located in the fortified valley of Alamat near Kazvin, the headquarters of the fanatical Brotherhood of the Hashashin, or the Hashash takers, which Christians mispronounce as assassins. So assassins was originally pronounced Hashashins. There's Hashashin takers. So here's your what is this? The Alamut Cas Van Cave. You can look yourself. Here it is right here. Alamut Secret Forces of Assassins. Right? It says here that Aladdin was an old man of the mountain, hereditary title of the chief of Hashashins or assassins, beginning with a Shiite leader, Hassan al-Shabah, whose name meant son of the goddess. The later name of Aladdin was taken by several chieftains. In 1297, the region of Gujarat was conquered by a warrior called the Bloody One, Alauddin. Alauddin. All right. You see that? So Aladdin was a real man. Okay? Now I'm going to come back and make a part 2 to this. And show that we've been lied to on a big level. And this is only, I hadn't even scratched the surface. Because there's so much stuff in this book. This book is called The Woman's Encyclopedia of Myths and Secrets. I only paid $2 for this. And this book is over 200 some pages. Okay? And this book right here, Man-Made God, Barbara G. Walker, same author, both same authors. You know what I'm saying? I'm about to upload part 1. I'm about to come back and make a part 2. We're going to talk about the Crusades, the Inquisitions, burning witches, all of that stuff. Okay? So stay tuned. This is part 1. I'm about to upload part 2. I'm about to make a part 2. Peace.